Okay. Sweet Baby client pandered to the modern audience is found out by Rev Says Desu. I've been waiting to watch this. I really wanted to watch this because I want to know what happened.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So today we're going to be talking about the latest Sweet Baby Inc. disaster, South of Midnight. This is a game that, much like AC Shadows, has produced a lot of likes and support on places like Twitter, with viral posts claiming this game would own the chuds and show all of those bigoted right-wing gamers wrong when it goes out there
I'm not gonna
and
lie.
succeeds. But again,
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to play this game and give like an actual fair review. I think I could give a fair review, actually. And I would tell you if the game was good or not. I kind of do want to play it.
much like AC Shadows, likes on Twitter do not translate to sales. And this game is flopping hard right out of the gate, but the signs were always there.
Asmund already did that, man, dude. Asmund is a fucking machine, man. He's a machine. That guy is crazy.
Sadly enough, the game on its face has a pretty interesting concept, a gothic,
Man
deep
has no
south
life, and that's why he's unkillable.
origin route here, with some, pretty interesting folklore at hand here. But as you started to peel back the layers and look deeper into this game, and in particular who's making...
You'd like to see me play it from a game dev perspective? Actually, that's true. That is something I could do. I think that is something I could do. I could give a game developer perspective to it. Yeah.
It seems pretty obvious there was an agenda here and a very big push for the modern audience. So right off the bat, we're talking about Compulsion Games. This is the developer of South of Midnight, and they are someone who is very trigger happy with the block button on Twitter. They will block pretty much anyone who criticizes them. It's not a very good look.
Why would you do this? Like, if you're a company, why block people? Like, I don't get it. Like, why do it? Like, all it does is make you look bad, and like, what does it do? It doesn't do anything. They blocked Asmund? Did they really? Like, the thing is it's so petty, and it looks bad coming from like an official company, right? Like, I mean, if you're an individual person, like, yeah, just block whoever the fuck you want, right? But like, blocking people as a company, it looks really bad. And all it does is have a negative image of you, basically, as being like a huge pussy.
Just like this tweet was not a very good look a year ago when they came to the defense of Crystal Dynamics, who in their remake of Tomb Raider 1 through 3, or should I say remaster, they had these warnings.
Honestly, they should block me, because if they block me, all it does is validate me. It makes me feel better. It just makes me stronger if they block me, to be honest.
Labels talking about how there's all these offensive depictions that are no longer aligning with their values. And then Compulsion Games came to their defense and said, many video games are the product of the times they were created, and as we look to recreate and remaster these stories for modern audiences, they literally said the phrase, it's important to consider the implications of these harmful...
The thing is, though, is like, what does that even mean? Like, dude... Like, whenever they say, like, modern audiences, it's like... They're talking about an entirely different demographic than, like... Who should be the demographic for these games? Yeah, it doesn't exist.
And do our part to rewrite new history, not repeat it. Absolutely amazing mask-off moment back then. But the big thing that's affecting the PR of the...
And remember, you guys, I said that the game looked kind of interesting. And I liked the setting, and I would love to play it. Remember I said that during the thing? What a shame.
This game is, of course, their connection to Sweet Baby. One that is not hidden, by the way. Despite the fact that Sweet Baby has buried pretty much all of their connections to various projects and studios over time, South of Midnight has always been front and center. In fact, it's still listed on their website as one of their featured projects. They are very proud of their role in this game, which pretty much absorbed their entire studio. Pretty much the whole studio at Sweet Baby helped work on this game. And they did things like story development, script writing, cultural and character...
Remember what I said? Like, they actually had like a big hand in it, like Sweet Baby did. They actually would have had an effect on the actual game. So for games like this, these are kind of one-player experience games that are kind of like more story driven. Of course, the story is like really important. That's like a very important aspect of the game, right? And Sweet Baby working on it, it does have a huge effect on if the game is going to be good or not.
Consultation. Oh boy, that sounds great. And boy, did that show itself with the character designs. Very modern audience, androgynous, muscular, sharp chins. I mean, this is just your typical modern audience character design. This is another red flag that people were seeing. And the other red flag, of course, is that journalists love it. Even IGN.
I love how the metric has become, guys, just do the opposite of like take the score and like reverse it basically, and that's how you can tell if a game is good or not. Like start it at like 5, like count 5 as 0, and then reverse the score basically.
Clapping an 8 on South of Midnight, which should have been a warning sign. For example, they gave Black Myth Wukong an 8. So
Is there anybody doing a thing like Critical Drinker but for games? Someone should do that. That would be amazing.
So their rating system is completely busted, and whenever they're giving
I guess it takes longer to play a game than to watch a movie, though, to be fair.
high praise to a game like this that is being criticized
Freakazoid?
for
I
potentially
like Freakazoid.
leaning into the modern audience, that should be a red flag. And then if you look at the reviews generally, the Metascore,
But I mean like more like how Critical Drinker does it, I guess. It's a little bit more like I don't know.
is
different.
a 77, which is a pretty respectable score. And you also have multiple reviewers giving 100s to this game. A perfect score, completely glazed.
How much do you think they got paid for that? A fucking perfect score? Are you kidding me? Wait, Games Hub, huh? Games Hub, perfect score. Okay, let's see. I'm going right now, guys. We're gonna go. We're gonna check. Games Hub. Let's see their reviews for other games. Let's see that one. Okay, that's an interesting one. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Guys, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Avowed 4.5. Assassin's Creed 4.5. My God.
Up this game. I mean, I'm gonna take like 30 seconds to get on my soapbox here, but like, am I the only one who's this neurotic?
Oil.
Like, I feel like 100s and perfect scores should be given away very, very lightly.
Yeah, because
like,
they're
it should
meaningless.
be at least a game of the year
They're meaningless if
contender,
you don't-
if not
yeah.
even better than that. If you're gonna give it a perfect score, right? I don't think South of Midnight is a perfect game. But anyways, that's just me being neurotic. And then the final red flag on this game before its official release was the early numbers for people who had early access. And during the 5 days or so before the official release with early access, the numbers
The
for
only
this
game I've
game
ever
on
get
Steam
102 is
VB,
Chrono Trigger. See, like that makes sense to me because at its time, at the time that it came out, Chrono Trigger was a masterpiece, right? So like it kind of depends. Also, wasn't Chrono Trigger like the game that Chrono Trigger was the game that did the ATB, right? The first like ATB game. ATB JRPG basically. They pioneered like that entire fucking concept. What was the first video game I ever played? First video game I ever played, like ever. Honestly, I think it was Centipede. Actually, Centipede. Centipede was the first game I ever played because my dad loved Centipede. My dad had an Atari, and he loved Centipede, and he would play it all the time. And then he showed me how to play it, basically.
fluctuated between about 100 to 400 players. That is really bad, especially when the early access only cost you an extra $10, $50 total instead of $40 for the regular release. But yeah, the writing was kind of on the wall. And then you see the day of, on the 8th, yesterday, Compulsion Games coming out, announcing this game is now going global. It's the full release. And you can see the very large confidence they have.
I remember playing Star Fox as a kid, and I got really scared because one day I was playing Star Fox, and I went through like those asteroids, an asteroid belt, and all of a sudden I saw the fucking smiling asteroid, and I had no idea that was a thing, and it scared the shit out of me. Like I thought my game was haunted or something.
locking the replies after they got dunked on by many different users for many different reasons. And now here we are on day 2 of this major AA release, and it's sitting under 1,000 in-game players. This
Niall says this dipshit realizes that Game Pass exists, right? You know, the problem with that is it doesn't really directly help them. At least that much, being on Game Pass.
This is an absolute failure. And you can see the chart down here. You can see the early access. And then this was the official release, peaking out at about 1,400 players, going back down to about 400 overnight. And now it's seemingly crawling its way back. I would imagine it's going to reach the same peak as yesterday or something similar to that. But overall, for a game like this is a colossal disappointment. There's no way to spin this in a positive way. This is a game backed by Microsoft. It is a AA release that clearly had a very large budget, and it's barely pulling Concord numbers. Now, I hear a lot of people who are defending this game. They're going to say, but Game Pass, there's going to be so many people using Game Pass. If people already had Game Pass and they're using that to play South of Midnight, that doesn't really do any favors for the developers of this game. They would have to buy Game Pass just to play South of Midnight, or at least that was their initial intention of purchasing Game Pass. Do you honestly think anyone's doing that? I mean, seriously, there's absolutely no way anybody is doing that. These numbers are incredibly disappointing for what this game was supposed to be. And of course, you have to ask yourself, what the hell went wrong here? Well, I think overall from the reaction of gamers, they're just not very impressed. This game had an interesting concept, but it wasn't well executed. And a lot of people are pointing to the fact that the script writing is really, really bad and boring, which is a pretty bad sign. Bad and boring is not.
If it's a story game, right? If it's a game that's kind of like prides itself on its story and its lore, I think that's the big appeal to the game, is that the setting is really interesting. And then if you fail on that, then if you fail on like actually executing on the lore part that connects the setting to like the gameplay, and you fail on that, then it makes it a really rough sell, right?
Good combo when it comes to a story. But on top of that, we look at some of the things going on with this game, and we think how much effort and money was put into this game that, as it turns out, can be played through in about 7 hours. Are people really willing to spend $40 on a game they can complete in 7 hours? One that also sounds like it's not very enjoyable? That's a very tall ask. And you ask yourself, well, if the game's boring, what happened? Well, unfortunately, the people who are responsible for a lot.
And by the way, the whole notion that like, oh, that it's on Game Pass and like we don't know what's on Game. We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll see if they make another game.
Of the things wrong with this game are also the ones who are driving the most negative PR for this game over the past.
Because if they didn't get paid a fuck ton of money from Game Pass to have their game on there, then we'll see if the studio still exists. Yep.
Year.
Exactly.
And the most obvious place to start with that is Sweet Baby. You can see the end credits now. You have pretty much the majority of the Sweet Baby team listed here, including Kim Belair, who did story development and script writing. And you can see basically the whole thing is focusing on narrative consultation, script writing, and story.
Another thing that's possible though, Mindframe War, is it's 100% possible too that they buy the team for the people that are good on it. That happens a lot. Well, they'll buy a team, and then they'll just kick everyone else out that like fuck the game over, and then they'll just absorb the other people into like a different team, basically. Because hiring is really expensive, so being able to swoop up a bunch of people is actually like really beneficial for a company that wants to expand.
Development. And boy, did it really pay off in a very fruitful way for this game. As you can see pointed out here, South of Midnight is a horrendously written game where the black female protagonist gets her powers from, checks notes, picking cotton.
Is that real? No.
Oh, jeez.
No.
God. But they can't call it cotton because of optics. So they call
there's no way. No. You're guided by the ghosts of runaway slaves that have literal black girl magic. The funniest part is that to upgrade, so the thing that you use to upgrade your character, you pick cotton for it. But they call it floof. So the upgrade currency is cotton. That's actually so crazy. There's no way. I can't believe it. Oh, I can't, dude. Oh. Unbelievable!
call it floofy. Well, they saved themselves there. Don't worry, guys. It also has blight assets from Dragon Age the Veilguard in it too. Not that BioWare need them anymore. The main character is...
I kind of want to play this game now. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to play it.
An entitled brat that cares only for herself. Sweet baby ink. Do it again.
I hate that. That's like my... that's the worst. Oh my god, dude. I hate that. That's like my... I hate that archetype of character. I mean, unless they grow out of it. I mean, that is possible. But
and
like,
this part is pretty much every modern audience game
yeah,
right here,
dude,
right?
I
The main
hate it.
character
I hate
being
it,
an
Rev.
entitled brat that only cares about herself. Many such cases. But as you can see, the unintentionally ridiculous...
Wait, Asmund said it was a 7? You said it was a 7. How much is this game? South of Midnight. $40 with a $10 upgrade.
Concept up here that Sweet Baby, I guess,
I'll wait for it to go on sale.
Was sensitive enough to know would be a very bad look, so they changed cotton to floofy, which again doesn't really say from the jokes that are writing themselves here.
Just refund it.
Now, also notice that on
that
that list of credits, you also had Chris Kindred, who ironically enough was the figurehead who started this entire massive wave against Sweet Baby. Of course, some people were talking about Sweet Baby before February of last year, but this is the tweet that really sent everything into orbit, where he tried to encourage his followers to harass and falsely report a Steam group called Sweet Baby Ink Detected that simply cataloged the games that they're listing on their own public website as their
Dude, it's like, man, I can't even imagine as a company going after an individual person just for making a group that shows all of the stuff that you worked on. That's crazy. Like, what the fuck?
Projects.
Well, why did they think this was a good idea?
The personal
you know that the more you bitch about it, the more they're gonna like try to like more people want to know. They literally like boosted the fuck out of this because people didn't really know that much about it. And then when they went after this, it blew up. It's like so many cases of this where they try to like basically stuff the info and it blows up in their face.
Of Cabrutus, the individual who was the creator of the Steam group. And this sort of narrative is always left out of every report by the usual suspects in games journalism. And also keep in mind, a couple months ago, Rolling Stone made a fluff piece trying to not only prop up this game, but also chastise all of those evil gamers who dared to criticize this game.
I hope they keep calling us that so that we can just stop partaking in their content. It makes it so easy, doesn't it? When they say that we're evil, it makes it so fucking easy. It's like, all right, okay, all right, you know what? Thank you. It's so easy.
And of course, who do you think wrote this article? Kotaku's former editor, Alyssa Mercante, because of course. Now, looking at this article, they try to spin a narrative that it's all these right-wing gamers and bigots who hate this game, and this game's gonna just do so well, and yada, yada, yada. Now, before we read this section, I want to point out one thing that I just noticed as I was prepping for this video.
The other thing, too, is if a game does well, it doesn't mean that the DEI stuff was good. That's like the other thing. But when the story is bad and the characters are bad, then that means that the DEI stuff is bad.
In her own writing here, you can see she capitalizes black. Right here with black representation.
Wait, what? Okay.
Capitalizes the B. But down here with whites.
No. These people are so racist. They're so... Dude, they're racism... Dude, I
She
can't.
does not capitalize
I can't.
white.
It's so petty, stupid, and racist. Like dude, that's actually crazy. No fucking way.
Now this is crazy. This is like advanced racism at this point. I don't even know how they come up with this stuff, but
This is a high level, like tier 2, tier 3, like upgraded class racism. This is like class change levels of racism. They got like this special skill that is only available to the higher level racist classes.
I just wanted to point that out because I think that is very weird. But anyways, this is what she had to say.
Tier 5
the specter of
racism.
hate. But the same black representation that brings so much joy to the team has brought undue scrutiny levied by reactionary corners of the internet that still believes one consultancy company, Sweet Baby Inc., is forcing wokeness into video games, which we know...
Wait a minute. Didn't they say that? They said that they're pushing wokeness into... Hold on.
Based on Kim Bel-Air's own words, that's what they're trying to do, trying to scare people into pushing this stuff into their company. But they continue on saying that rumor began swirling in March of this year and is still a rallying cry amongst right-wing gaming influencers on X, formerly Twitter, Reddit, and the darker and even more hateful corners.
The internet hate machine that does not forget, does not forgive, does not forget.
The internet.
Video of van exploding.
So, based on my deduction here, are they saying this is YouTube? Because they don't even mention YouTube, but anyways, I'm just nitpicking here. They continue on. Not long after South of Midnight gameplay was revealed during the Xbox showcase at Summer Game Fest this year, Compulsion Games was targeted by the modern version of Gamergate, who insisted that
hackers on steroids.
Hazel was race swapped from a previous white character, in that the shadowy consultancy company had its evil DEI, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and has become the ethics in gaming journalism shorthand of today, fingers around Compulsion's throat, as is tradition with this kind of hate movement. The studio was inundated with emails, and their community manager was ceaselessly harassed, both online and off. Wow, that poor community manager. They did nothing wrong. Why would anyone go after this person and criticize them? Oh, it's because this individual right here, Katie Chu.
That's a lot of buffs.
Community manager at Compulsion Games.
Every time I see this shit, it's just like a buff bar. Like all of this shit that they add. It's just like a huge buff bar. It's like at the bottom. You have like the buff bar, like on your screen where there's just like 20 icons on there. Yeah.
Games. They have a lot to say about white people and gamers. They said white male gamers were a mistake. Oh, geez, and blame them for basically causing all these issues in the gaming spaces. They also say that Asian people are white adjacent.
That's the kindest thing anyone has ever said to me.
Again, like advanced levels of racism I didn't even know was possible. And then you have this
I'm just kidding. It was a joke. Okay, it's a joke.
Honestly,
it's a joke.
I hate gamers, says the community manager at a game development company. It's just chef's kiss. It's just perfect. But don't worry, guys. When she was getting criticized for this stuff, it was actually just unwarranted harassment. When someone is openly trying to...
No, it's because basically, just for those of you that don't know what that was about, basically, compared to a lot of... This is the funny thing is, this is the reason why it's like incredibly racist to say that. So their logic behind it is that Asians do disproportionately well compared to other minority groups. So that's why they say that Asians are white adjacent. But if you were to look up, why don't we just ask Grok, let's use immigrant groups. Which immigrant groups from America make the most money? Oh, huh. Are Nigerians in there? Oh my, they are. Look at that, Nigerians and Indians are in there. I guess they could call I'm pretty sure they don't really think of. I'm pretty sure they don't call Indians, people from India. I'm pretty sure they don't call them white adjacent, and the Nigerian people do pretty well. That's kind of crazy, isn't that weird? So are they also white adjacent? That's interesting. You want to know? Okay, so the top performing immigrant groups in America, Indian Americans have a median household income of about 157,000. Then you have Filipino Americans who make an average of 90,000. Taiwanese make 82,000. Chinese make 80 to 90,000, and Nigerians make about 62,000. Often in fields of healthcare and engineering. So, that's interesting. Nigerian princes are real. Indians are Asian, so according to them, yes. But I'm pretty sure they're not thinking about Indians. When they think about Asians being white adjacent, I'm pretty sure they don't mean Indians. My guess is it has to do with the skin color. Because I've never heard that being applied to Indians. Yeah.
Basically, say a certain group
because there's no logic behind it. It has nothing to do with anything. Right? Like, you think they're going to call the Nigerians white adjacent?
People are not welcome based on the color of their skin, their gender, and also just for being a gamer. Who would have thought that would get some blowback? But of course, that flies in the face of this 30-minute fluff piece that was made to celebrate South of Midnight.
They'll find some grand wizard level race.
A few months ago. Let's listen to the first part of this documentary.
In many ways, Midnight is about bringing people together, and magic is all around you. It's about learning empathy for people who aren't like you. It's finding hidden strengths.
Yeah, it's all about empathy and inclusion, unless, of course, you're a white male gamer. Then it's not for you, apparently. But
yeah, don't you understand, Chilecito, that they're the nicest people. They're the kindest people. They're so kind.
All of these things start to make a little more sense when you see videos like this. So this is actually the first time I've seen this. This user, Bandar Hub here, posted this yesterday, showing one of the writers on the staff for South of Midnight and their approach to writing and how they visualize themselves in the story, and how white people can't tell a story about diversity as well as someone who has a different skin color. Let's listen to this.
Saying I would definitely like to see more queer characters of color, not just, just a white queer character. I would like to see more people that look like me. I think audiences have a very...
It's not good enough, right? It's not good enough that they have a queer character.
I was thinking about this a little bit the other day while I was pooping. And as all of my deep thoughts occur during that time, when I'm not playing Madoka Magica on my phone. But I had a thought that so they make these games that specifically cater to like a small they specifically are like made for a small minority of people. Like they tailor it specifically to be like, yeah, we don't care about the majority. In fact, they fucking suck. So let's make a game specifically for our people, whatever the fuck that means, right? And then they release a thing, and then they're suddenly shocked when most people don't want the game. But they didn't make the game for most people. So what the fuck are they trying? What do they even want? I had this discussion with my brother, actually. This is actually one of the reasons that my brother's mad at me. Got into like a big fight with him over this. So my brother, and I love my brother. I'm not shitting on him. Okay, just want to be clear. But I had this discussion where I told him, I said, listen, man, I gotta tell you, he wanted to be an artiste, comic book person that made like comic books, which is respectable. I like that. But I told him, I said, my brother, your art style is very niche. is what I told him. It's not universally appealing. Like, I'm just trying to be real with him because like I care, right? I'm not gonna like glaze him, right? Like I wanna say the right. I wanna like be truthful because I care about like, you know, him doing well. So I'll be like, your art style is very niche, and the topics of your stories are incredibly niche. And so I told him, not many people are gonna be into it, and that's not me saying that what you're making is bad. But what I'm saying is that your target audience is so narrow that you're gonna have trouble getting any traction because that's just the case, right? How did I phrase it? Exactly how I'm phrasing it right now, kind of along those lines. And so I told him, I said, listen, man, your story is about gay werewolves, and your art style is very niche. And I was like, not that many people are like the amount of the amount of like the intersection of those topics is very narrow, you know. So I told him, I said, you're gonna have trouble, man, and like I'm just saying that because I care. And that's kind of similar to what's going on here, is like you make a thing specifically to appeal to like a niche group of people, and your entire thing is I don't give a shit about like the majority. I don't give a fuck what anybody else wants, what the target audience is, right? What is the target audience for most games, for gaming, right? Is the gaming community. So what is primarily the gaming community? If you think about the demographics of it, right? And what people generally look for in a video game, and then you make something that is like, yo, we fucking hate these people, so we're gonna make a thing specifically like, and our devs are going to say that they hate these people, don't want these people at all. And then you're surprised when they don't buy your game. It like confuses the fuck out of me. You know, like it really does. Like, I'm like, what did you expect?
It also has to have dark skin. It's just never good enough. You see how it just keeps getting pushed further and further and further.
Very vocal minority of people who are very much against inclusion of anything that's not, as we said, like a cis straight white man. You know, but our existences aren't political; they just are. And I think that more and more people are expecting to see that kind of representation, and also expecting it to get broader as time goes on.
I don't even think that. I don't even think that representation is bad. Like, I really don't. Like, I think it's fine to have a little bit. I think it's fine to have that in like a game, but you still have to consider your core audience, right? Like, you can't make that like the whole fucking thing, right? Because now you're turning it into an issue where you're specifically saying that you don't. You're specifically saying that like you don't want certain people. Like, you have your dev saying you specifically don't want people to. That's a completely different thing than having like a diversity of like of the cast, basically. If it's like on purpose or not, right? To me, feels like she's reading off of a script. Oh, you mean her? Yeah. The problem is they aren't game devs. They're activists using games to send a message. No, I think they're definitely game devs. I just think that they don't really understand. They don't understand gaming. There are game devs that don't understand gaming, actually. It's not really uncommon.
I think what people are expecting.
Yeah, totally. Representation should be a tertiary factor. Yeah, exactly. The most important thing should be like the game actually being good and the story making sense and being good. Like, if your characters suck, it doesn't matter what skin color they are, right? Like, who cares?
Is good characters. I think that will connect with people more than anything. I mean, a great example of all this stuff is Assassin's Creed, right? With the Yasuke blowback. People are saying, oh, all these AC fans are racist. They don't want to see a minority.
Put it this way. Literally, who played the original Metroid and was like, can't play this? Who the fuck played Metroid and thought that? Literally nobody. Because the game is good. So it doesn't fucking matter that Samus is a woman.
As a protagonist in an Assassin's Creed.
There's many cases of this
game. That's just not true. People want to see a organic and strongly developed.
To be fair, no one knew. Justin Bailey disagrees with you, Julio. I've talked to Justin Bailey, and he thinks you're wrong.
Character. There's been tons of diversity throughout the Assassin's Creed franchise, and people never complained about
Julio said, "Who dat?" Exactly. That's exactly my point, Julio.
it because the characters felt natural. They didn't feel forced in the environment just to check diversity boxes, and they were well written. So that's what people want. People relate to good characters. And if you have to relate to something just because of skin color, if that's the determining factor, I think that's ridiculous.
As opposed to just having that same, like, you know, white gay guy archetype, or like Ellie in The Last of Us. We're looking for people who, you know, non-binary, intersex, trans, who aren't just white. They look like me and you. And I think that games are starting to delve into that more, but I think it also needs to be intentional and not an afterthought. It can't, like, if you're writing, like Tori said, it has to be from the beginning. The team should be from that community, not like, oh.
The problem is a lot of the times when you do write these characters that are LGBT, trans, you know, person of color, whatever the hell, a lot of the times when they write these characters, and she's saying that like it shouldn't be an afterthought, a lot of the times it's written like it is an afterthought. That the character has nothing to do with the fact that they're trans, or that they're gay, or that they're a woman, or that they're black, or whatever. It has nothing to do with it a lot of the time. I'm not saying in this specific game, but I'm saying like a lot of the times, like that is just kind of being, that is just added on, and then it's thrown into your face. By the way, guys, they're gay, right? And it's like the game has nothing to do with them being gay half the time. Either that, or it's just thrown in there, like as like it's kind of ham-fisted in there, and it's like, wait, this is kind of weird. Like, why is there this fucking random, like, this random kissing scene that has nothing to do with anything? I thought this was like a war story, right? And you have things like that in the games, and it throws people off, and they're like, what the fuck? Yeah.
We're you know, wherever in our process, we should probably bring on like a consultant who we may or may not listen to. It should, from the beginning, it should be a priority. And I think audiences are hungry for that kind of thoughtfulness.
I don't know about that. Man, guys, I should be an industry expert. Like, I should totally like make a thing. Like, I should make like a consulting company. Dude, like, for real. Because like I watch these things, I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
it sounds a lot like Kim Belair, right?
I think I could be a good consultant, actually, like, for real.
Like the quote we discussed earlier, you know, bring them into the room, give them a coffee, and scare them into basically accepting whatever your goal is. That's what that sounds like. Right from the beginning, in fact. Like, don't even bring them in during the middle of the process. Bring in these consultancy people right from the beginning and start laying out these characters to start checking the boxes.
And
it'd be great.
I think queer people of color are able to write, like, within their own identity, white characters of that same identity, but I don't think that white creators can on their
some
own
secret project
cross that boundary to write a queer person of color, because as people of color we have to exist within the framework of America's just like capitalistic, colonialistic framework. Like, that's whiteness is the standard. And so like I understand your like culture, but like come to a barbecue.
See, this is the problem, is that they try to segment themselves off as being like something completely different. And what a lot of people say is that you're just an American, just like me, just like what Asmund said about 9/11. When the 9/11 happened, it was just like, you're an American, I'm American, like, we're from different. And the thing is the reason why this doesn't really even pan out really is because this doesn't even, like, this almost makes me seem like this person needs to travel. Because if you go to different, America is so big, it's so vast, and like each state has its own culture, that like every single place that you go in America, regardless of like what the race is of the people that live in that town, every place has a different culture. Everyone has, that applies to like so many things. Being like, oh, you go to a black barbecue, you're not gonna know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, well, have you tried going to like a crawfish boil? Have you tried going to a rodeo? Like, have you tried going wine tasting in Napa Valley? It's all fucking different. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? America is so big. Someone from Florida has a different culture than somebody in New York and somebody in Oklahoma and somebody in Washington. They're all different. And like acting like this is a black thing is freaking ridiculous. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, what do you mean by this?
At my church or at my house or something, and tell me like how well you can navigate that. And
yeah, could you navigate an Asian church? Could you navigate could you navigate like a white church in Texas? Could you navigate I'm having a little bit of block in my mind, but you know what I'm saying. Could you navigate the different cultures that are in America yourself? Obviously not. And even then, what's the culture of your quote unquote black church? Because I'm pretty sure not all the black churches are the same as your black church. So what are you talking about? Yes. If your point is that there are different pockets of culture and that everyone's different, fucking obviously. Duh.
That it's not nearly as simple for you because you're not used to having to put on that kind of thing. And I think, and I agree with CC.
So according to this logic, I don't want to fucking see you writing anything that isn't black stuff, basically. You better only be writing black stuff from your little area of the world. That's it. You even try to fucking write some freaking medieval European shit? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here if you even want to do that. You want to write some military shit? Get the fuck out of here. You've never been in the military. Do you see what I mean? Like, this falls apart. This falls apart instantly when you use any sort of logic. Like, you think about it, you take what they mean, you apply it in the way that it most makes sense. It makes the most sense, and it instantly evaporates in your hands because now you're left with nothing. And if you want to play this game, you want to play the game where you can only write your own experiences, then fine. Let's do it then. Let's do it. You better only write that. You better only write that stuff. I don't want to fucking see anything else. You want to write Assassin's Creed Shadows? You better be fucking from Japan. You better be from Japan. You better have lived in Japan for like 10 years before you even get to touch writing about it.
Yeah, so
this goes both ways.
Basically, they're just straight up saying that white people can't write diverse characters as well as certain minorities might be able to. Very, very strange thing.
She's even Canadian? Yeah, I mean, what are you even talking about? Go write about maple syrup and poutine. I'm not your buddy, guy.
To say, and the barbecue comparison is just pretty crazy. Just like, I don't know, I think people can fit in anywhere if they just act normal, right? If they're just like respectful, they can probably get along pretty decently. I just think that's a pretty crazy comparison, and this whole thing has been blowing up, and people are talking a lot about this clip. But let's return to Sweet Baby, okay? Things aren't going very well for them right now. There's a lot of rumors swirling about the company and potential loss.
All I'm saying, guys, just use your fucking brain. Use your brain for 1 second. Think about what you mean by what you're saying. Take it to its logical conclusion. That's it. And you'll understand that what you're saying is retarded. It's so easy.
For them, so you can see the headline: Sweet Baby Inc. reportedly dropped by Sony as gaming giant cancels several projects with SBI involvement.
Give anime a chance.
And this is based on a Master of the TDS video they released on their Gothic Therapy program there, where he has an insider who has provided reliable information before, and they're saying that there are some targeted, deliberate terminations of in-development projects that had Sweet Baby Inc. embedded in them. And that is basically finding out at this point. It's taken way too long. I hope this is true, because at the end of the day, Sweet Baby's done a lot of things wrong, and they really haven't faced anything for it. I mean, they just keep getting work. So maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of something happening, actual consequences for tanking.
The problem is, like, what do you think are the odds that they just they dismantle Sweet Baby and then they just like remake themselves? They just like have the same people and they just make another consulting firm, and the cycle repeats.
Many games at this point, everything they touch, they got the Sweet Baby kiss of death, and it strikes again with South of Midnight. But that's going to do it for this
bad, honestly. Like as much as I want to go like full on like like DEI is always the cause of every problem. I think that Sweet Baby themselves are just bad. Like, I think they just suck at it, you know? Like, they're just not good at diversity. Like, to be honest. I think they're too racist to be good at diversity. Ironically, I really think that's the thing, is that the people at Sweet Baby are just too racist to actually be good at diversity, which is crazy.
As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
It's not the racism, it's the skill issues. I think it's a little bit of both. I think they do definitely lack skill. And here's the problem. You want to know what makes people lack skill? What makes people lack skill is lack skill is when they have a lack of pushback. A lack of pushback and a lack of criticism. If you're not at the very minimum, at least introspective, where you can actually like look at your work and like actually like criticize it and be like, I don't like what I wrote here. If you can't at least do that at the very minimum, then you're just gonna suck at everything. And that's because a lot of people will blame other things. So like, say, you know, you're like, oh, the reason I'm not getting a good job is because of society, and it's because I'm gay, and it's because, you know, I'm a person of color, and like the white man keeps me down. And that's like your entire excuse for, like, you can use that excuse for literally everything. You have no reason to improve, because it's never your fault. It's never your fault. It's everybody else's fault except your own. Does not lead to improvement. You need at the very minimum self-introspection, and what's even better is you need other people to criticize you. If you have other people criticizing you, and that drives you to like improve yourself, and then you become better at it. So like, they have no reason to improve. They basically blackmail people, they scare people, they use scare tactics, blackmail tactics, not really blackmail, sorry, it's more scare tactics. They use scare tactics in order to get people to give them work when they actually provide no value. Extortion. Yeah, it's a good one. Extortion. Yeah. They don't actually provide any value. And the stuff that they make is again, like, it's not even good because nobody's criticizing them. They literally echo chamber themselves, and they create a hug box where everybody around them only lifts them up. And, oh, you're so great. It's just perfect. Like, great job. You're like perfect the way you are. Like, everything you make is great. And then you have no reason to improve. Me and my friends are constantly shitting on me. Like, people are constantly shitting on me and telling me that stuff is bad. And it makes me like kind of look at it. Or like I'm also, like, to be honest, I'm also just I'm a very low confidence individual, which means that when I look at my stuff, I hate it. And it forces me to want to make it better in the things that I care about. Yeah. So that causes it too. Right. But if you always blame other things for the reasons of your failure, if you blame other things externally for the reasons of your failure, you never improve. Like, it's just like the same thing with like a gamer. Like, I'm sure you've all met a person like this, like a gamer that they literally always blame their team. Literally, like, literal bronze rank player always blames their own team for every time that they lose, and they never improve. And that's the reason that they're still bronze, is because it's never their fault. Right. Yeah, you have the same thing, or people that cheat, and they don't really get any better themselves without the cheats, right? It's the same thing. Yeah. LOL was a mistake. It's different in this chat.